Welcome back to Becoming a Published Author is Fun. And if that confuses you, you want to know what do I mean by that, check out episode 8 and you'll understand. Today we are in episode 26. And we are going to look at the subject of research. Research is important. So we're going to ask you, why is research important? Why do we do it? So forth. We're going to start out with authority. When you are doing your research and that gets into your book, your reader is going to have a sense that you're speaking from authority, from knowledge, because you will have knowledge to back up your story. Your story may be a novel, fiction. But when it's based on a historical fact, a scientific fact, any kind of fact out there, that it's a fact that that person might be interested in, then they're going to recognize that authority. You don't necessarily even have to tell them where you got the information. Now, in a nonfiction book, you give references so that they can look them up. In a novel, you don't. It's just in the story. But the thing is, they will recognize it. For instance, I have a story, a whole series of stories actually, Perish, The World That Was, the world of Shem, the world of Abraham, and so forth, right on through the world of Jacob and Joseph. But in each case they are based on the authority of the Bible, going into those historical facts there and drawing them out. They're part of the story, but I've built the story behind the story, so to speak. And so or as one critic reviewer said, I bring the Bible alive. And so my characters, my events and everything are brought in fresh, and it hits them. And if that's something they're interested in, it gives them a sense of authority, a confidence in the story itself, in the author, which in this case would be me, and so also how the whole story plays out. When you're dealing with the Bible, I've actually had one person tell me I had to stop and go into the Bible and look up that event to see if it was true or if that was just made up. I was not insulted by that at all. That was great, because that's what I want people to do. I want to introduce people to the Bible if they don't already know it. And if they do know it, I don't want them to be pushed away. I want to draw them in. And so they're going to have this sense of authority that I am speaking from, that's in the story, and makes that story that much more believable to them. It also enriches the story. That is something, again, you want. When you can enrich the story, you're enriching the information that you're passing on to that reader. And they have their experience they have from reading that story might be that much more enjoyable. Again, they might look up certain things to find out what's true and what's not. But never be insulted by that. Never. That is good when you can cause people to think, and when you can cause people to want to look stuff up. They're just going to come away impressed with how well you created something that looked correct, but when they went and looked at it, it wasn't there, or something else. But there was some kind of a basis for it, a factual basis. But as it's played out in your book, that part wasn't there, and that will impress them rather than push them away. They're going to see that you took facts and built a story around it. And it just enriches their entire experience. But it also enriches your experience. When you're researching something and you go in and you dig it out, and you find documents on the internet. I bookmark documents so I can later look them up. Or I paste and copy them into a document that I put into a file on my computer, so I can look them up to my fingertips. Either way, sometimes I do both. So the idea is that you have research material available for future books. That is always a good thing, but it's going to enrich your experience. So when you're doing your research, well, what do you follow? Well, there's the four W's, or actually three W's: who, what, when, and then an H, how. Who's your story about? Well, is this a historical figure? If it is, look them up. Do the research. What is it you're looking for? Look it up. Do the research. When did it happen? What did I say? Look it up. Do the research. And what? How? How did it work out? How did it play out? How did this? When you follow these four words, it's going to be the motor, so to speak, that drives you into maybe discovering something about your character or your story or your event that you didn't know yourself, and it may end up being in your book. Or it may be something as a basis for a future book. So that's what you want to do is, what is it? What is my book about? And then you just start asking yourself questions. And not only about the who is the primary character, it can be a supporting character, maybe his enemy or her enemy or whatever. The what could be, say you were doing Joan of Arc. So that's who, right? Well, what was she? Well, I've spent a while since I've studied that, but I do believe she was a peasant girl, brought up in the Catholic Church. She was French, and it was in the war between England and France, and so that comes up with the when. And well, how does this all work out in your story? Joan of Arc is quite an inspiring story in herself, and she wreaked havoc on the English, and she was eventually captured and burned at the stake. But her story is one that will grab a person's imagination, and so you can write it. And it doesn't matter the fact that she was a Catholic girl, and that this was, and that you might wonder about some of the things in her life. That's beside the point. The point is that she became a heroine, and she led the French army into battle and led them to victory. And you might argue with all different aspects. And another character you could write about is General George Patton. I've read stories about him. He believed that he had lived several lives, reincarnated, if you will. And he had different beliefs about that. Well, that's not your message. But that is something about him that will trigger people's thoughts and so forth. He was a great general. So who was he? He was a great general. He led the tanks and things of that nature. What? He was in World War II. How did he do things? There was like one story about him that I'm aware of, that he actually knew where there was a Roman army camp in Europe. Everybody had forgotten about it, but he knew about it. How do you argue with that? How did he know about that? There was nothing that, published that he could have read about it. So how did he know? And those are questions that you can fill in with your imagination. But the thing is, you get enriched yourself by all this knowledge, and it's going to seep into your books. You're not going to put everything you learn into one book. You're going to have material that can actually be used in future books. And so that is something. You're going to get authority. Your reader's going to be enriched. You are going to be enriched. And here is your formula, a basic formula for how you do your research. And that's something, folks, that you need to learn to adopt. I know research is not something we want to do. Research is something that involves work, involves labor, maybe some sweat and tears, boredom. It depends upon your own nature as to how you react to it. But if you change your view and look at it as not a necessary evil, but maybe chance for you to learn something new, an opportunity to learn something more about the event or character, whatever you're writing about. I wrote a book, I'd say novel based on my own family, and it I went in and checked on uniforms for the American Army. I looked up the kind of weapons they had and things of this nature. It just enriched my information, and some of it got into the book, but not anywhere close to all of it. Most of it ended up as research material, which I still have, I might use in a future book. The thing is that research is a valuable tool that you should embrace. Don't push it away. Don't be afraid of it. Don't let it threaten your sense of purpose or whatever it is. It's a research is a tool that you can use to further your writing career, to make your books come alive, to make your books draw the reader in. Because chances are the people who pick that book up and buy it, it's because that's their interest area. And so they won't necessarily be looking for a particular fact or whatever. But as those facts come forward, those facts, they will spot them. And they may not consciously spot them, but they will spot them. And it will either, if you messed it up, then it's going to hurt your story. But if you've got the facts in there and you use your imagination to paint the picture, so to speak, then they are going to be more impressed with your writing, with what the book is there, and they're going to enjoy that book that much more. And you just might get yourself a fan, a loyal fan, someone who will come back and buy your future books, which is one of the things you want. The more you can get that, the better. And this is all something that becoming a published author, that's why I say it's fun. Because research can be fun. Now, I'll grant you, it's a work. You're never going to get away from that aspect. But when you can learn something new, that can be fun. When you can take that something new and apply it to your book, that can be fun. And so that is one of the things that we at Basic Authors Training, we want you to learn how to do things and enjoy the doing of it. To be able to take simple tools and make them be turned into magical tools in your hands because of your imagination. And that is something we work on. I'm not only a publisher, but I'm a teacher, and I am a one-on-one coach. And that is what I would do, is pull you forward so that you can be your very best. So do your research. And while you're doing it, why not research Basic Authors Training? You can find it at our TNR Independent Books, the bookstore. We are, if you want the URL, that's simply trbookservices.com. And go there. But the thing is, check us out. And if you want to have some professional training on how to write your book, you'll get this kind of training you're getting right here, plus more. And you'll get one-on-one interest on my part, participation on my part, coaching on my part. I'm in it for you. And one more thing, we guarantee you that 100% of the profits will go to you. When you sell your book, 100% of the profits. There's a fee for any book to get it published, basic cost. Once that's covered, the rest is all profit. And guess who it belongs to? You. You have a great day, and I will see you in the next episode.